So if anybody else is encountering issues with audio, but you want or you need to use your phone, you can do that. You can go to charslanding.com and get the dial-in information there. Just click on the link for the event, and there'll be a phone password and the link and everything there. So we don't want you to miss a thing. This will also be recorded, and the link for that is going to be at charslanding.com as well. Like me, it takes me about 10 times to go through something before I get it. I'm a slow learner when it comes to tech, so it's really nice that Craig Copland has agreed to do this.
Delighted to do so.
You're awesome. Craig, I'm sorry, that is like the most amazing room. And that, you know, sometimes when people have a screen behind them that looks that impressive, it's a fake. It's like something they put as a background. It's my understanding that you're actually in a bunker that is that's the real deal.
That is my office and library.
How many square feet is that beautiful construction there?
Probably about 500. It's about 20 by 22, 21 by 22, something like that.
Okay.
So
and it's actually under your garage, right? It's under your garage.
It's the very same size as a double garage above my head.
That's so great. Okay, so how many volumes do you have in there?
Well, there's about 6,000 and change on the shelves. And then I ran out of space, so I had to descend to the horrible experience of purchasing ebooks instead.
Oh.
And there's about 1,000 of those on my iPad now.
Nice.
If I had more space, there'd be more books.
Well, I think, and all of us can identify with that. Hardly any of us have got a double garage sized library under our garage. So for the rest of us, it's my understanding you're going to show us how to post ebooks too, right?
Oh yeah, we'll actually start the seminar with ebooks.
Great.
Because I'll explain that's where the market is.
Yeah.
And the secondary market is paperbacks.
Okay. Now, my book is out, my traditionally published book, Heard Amid the Guns, is out in both paperback and ebook with Heritage House. However, I was disappointed with the ebook because the book is so beautifully laid out page by page, and the ebook is very sort of plain Jane with pictures, a lot of pictures, which the book has kind of put in there. Is there any way to have a picture book and make it really dazzly with an ebook? Just, that's my weird, curious question.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You can insert anything into an ebook, and actually there's hardly any extra charge for it. While we're doing that, I'm just going to show you. This is one of my ebooks about the return of Napoleon. All right, this is my ebook. I put the ads in the front. You have to look at those. The rest of the books, and then you can see I've got a picture at the head of every chapter, and you can stick pictures in and drawings in and color in for very little additional cost. Well, when I say little additional cost, there's no cost to you, but your portion of the profits might decrease a bit. But
yeah,
no, you can dress up the ebooks as much as you want, but keep in mind that about half the people that are reading ebooks now are reading on their phones. So you don't want to be too cluttered.
Okay. All right, so just in case anybody's question, I was getting my own curiosity out of the way. We are not starting this event until 2 o'clock, so you haven't missed a thing. Just grab a coffee and get ready to learn. I don't know, notepad helps sometimes. And I'm going to look for that number that Alicia is looking for. So just give me a minute. I'll mute myself so you won't hear me talking to myself with frustration as I look for it.
Brian, would you just tell me what does it look like behind me? Have I got a good, yeah. I'm trying to, instead of going on.
No deer antlers are hanging there.
I'm apparently not on until 2 o'clock.
There, unmute. Carl, you're a co-host. Are you able to mute anybody who accidentally has left their mic on when they're having conversations at home?
Yes.
Everyone unmuted until 5:02.
Okay, all right.
Hi, Jackie.
Hi, Karan. Is that Karan?
Yes. How are you doing?
Hello, my dear. Karan has a really good question. She is asking if there's going to be a break in the 2 hours. Craig has just stepped away, so like a little brief break. I would say that's a good question. We'll find out. We might have a little chat in the middle. I'll check with Craig.
Yeah. You guys are having snow up there today?
Yes, it's so beautiful.
Yeah, we're just today too, like we've had hardly any snow, and in the Similkameen, that's really unusual, so I'm kind of glad to see it. So yeah, got to have a little winter to feel good about the spring.
Yes. It's coming. The days are getting longer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, my bank doesn't support payments from .br or .mx.
Oh.
That's it's my. Has anybody set up their Kindle account yet?
Oh, it's been a while. Yeah, I did. Yeah. So you're saying that your bank doesn't support that kind of payments?
Yeah,
Oh.
I can't get money from Mexico. I just find it funny.
Interesting dilemma. Well, we'll have to see what Craig has to say about that. Bring it up or mention it in chat. If you put a question in the chat, that's a great place for it. Does everybody know how to do the chat? If you go to your black bar, it's probably along the bottom or the top of your screen, and in the middle it says chat. And click on that, a little window will pop up, and that's how we're going to be getting questions during the event. So let's remember to ask about Mexico, because I know Craig sells books to people from all over. He's such a whiz at this. Initially, I thought he had published 43 books, which was pretty amazing. He said, no, those are just the Sherlock Holmes ones. So he's actually published over 200.
$200 books?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, and I struggle with one.
I know. I think it gets easier after the first 40.
I should be like about 120 by then.
Yeah, actually, we need to talk about that. You're so close. That wonderful manuscript. You're really so close.
Oh, Jackie, I'm getting some really good mentoring. Just doing a writing, an online writing summit with Tracy Scoose, and I've just
she's
really,
lovely.
Yeah, so
Tracy's great.
It is a phenomenal value because it's free. But
Yeah.
just a lot of, I'm actually going to hire a coach. I'm going to get a coach and working on a different project than the one you're thinking about.
Yes.
But yeah, excited again.
I think this is going to be your big publishing decade up ahead.
Well, thank you. You're the best. Yeah, it's funny because one of the things is that, yes, you're a writer, but maybe you're not so good. And I'm really good at ideas. but then I'm not so good at finishing things. So there's all these strategies that I feel like I've never kind of like realized, you know, and so it's helpful because I throw up a lot of blocks for myself. I feel like I write okay, but yeah, there's other little things that get in the way. So yeah.
They are there for all of us, my friend. I do get you on that. And
Yeah.
I'm also famous. Well, you know, you're multiply talented. You're multiply creative. You've got a lot of creative things that your brain is engaged in. And for those of us with those multiple pursuits, I think sometimes it's especially challenging because
Yeah.
they keep popping up.
Yeah, sparkly things everywhere.
Ah, I know, I'm a crow.
But yes, let's talk soon.
Yes, we must. All right, so welcome meanwhile to people who are popping into the room. It's so good to see you. Workshop is going to start just after 2, so we've got a few minutes. You can grab a tea or a, I don't know. Well, I've got a coffee here. It says be awesome today, and I think we are going to get a chance to do that as Craig leads us through the fascinating and sometimes confusing world of publishing on Amazon, and the things that you learn about publishing on Amazon, whether it's an ebook or a paperback book, will help you with traditional publishing too. It's good to get an understanding of the process. And now I've just gotten a message from our wonderful host, Charlene Patterson of charslanding.com. And Char is going to mute everybody in a few minutes, and then your way to get in touch with us will be chat, and it'll be my job to vigilantly watch for people's questions in chat. So, so I'll be on that. We're very excited. We actually have quite a few people registered for today. Unless they're out making snowmen, I think they'll be popping by. Leah, hello, welcome. Isn't it cool for Craig to do this for us and for Charlene to host it? If you're not familiar with Char's Landing, it's a wonderful venue here in beautiful Port Alberni on the west coast of Vancouver Island. And it's a hostel, it's a historic building. And it's also, you may be able to see a beautiful mermaid stretching. She looks like she's swimming. That is actually a lantern, an actual light. And the fish behind her is also a lantern, a light fixture. And that beautiful lantern hangs overhead, and there's a grand piano over in one corner. And in better times, when we get this COVID monster under control, we will be meeting again at Char's Landing, which is a fabulous venue for spoken word and for live music, as well as a hostel and a great place to stay here in Port Alberni. So thank you, Charlene Patterson, and you'll get an opportunity. We'll welcome you to send a donation if you'd like. I always like to show my appreciation, and she's so gracious in helping set this up. And this is fancier than your average Zoom, so she's put a lot of care into that, and you can e-transfer to her. The address is on the screen, e-transfer at charslanding.com. And right now, our fearless workshop leader, Craig Copland, you can see into his library. That is actually a library. That is not one of those fake backgrounds. That is an actual library, a 6,000 volume library, like a book vault under his garage. So it's like 400 square feet of shelves, which I think is just fantastic. I would love to have that under my garage. If you would like to rename yourself, show where you're from, you could say, like, I'm Jackie, I'm from Port Alberni. I can go up to my name, scroll up to my name. I would like to keep your, to encourage you to keep your, I would like to encourage you to keep your video or picture on, and that'll make our YouTube more fun. So that would be great if you do that. We'd love that. So much nicer to see faces, right? Got a question from Leah. It says, will you still be doing Zoom things once things start up at Char's Landing after the pandemic? I'm out of reach of Port Alberni these days. Absolutely. You know, it takes, you do have to want to get here in order to get to Port Alberni. You have to take the ferry from Vancouver or fly over to Victoria or Nanaimo, and then you have to drive over the beautiful summit, the Alberni summit, which we call the Hump. And it's so lovely. It's really worth the trip. You get to go through Cathedral Grove, and then you get to the beautiful Alberni Inlet, and from there you can launch off to Tofino, or you can stick around and enjoy the scenic local sites. There's so much to do and see. So the answer to that is, I do believe we are going to be using Zoom as well as in-person events once the pandemic is over. I'm just looking forward to that so much. Zoom is not going to go away. Everybody had a quick immersal with it, and we all had to get used to it, but now we have it. It's a handy way to connect with people in the Tri-Cities area and on the mainland and in Alberta and Nova Scotia. So again, reminding you to please keep your video on. We're going to mute all the mics, so you won't have to worry about your background ambient sound coming through. If your Great Dane comes charging through and starts woofing, no problem, because your audio will automatically be muted. But please do leave your video on if you can, if you're up for it. Of course, if you're doing something distracting, then you want to turn it off. I get that. But anyway, yeah, we'd love to see you. It's so nice to see and be seen, right? And to hear and be heard. No masks here. What people really look like, right? All through the safe, cozy effects of Zoom. So we are grateful for Char for hosting this. Hey, Leah says she lived in Port when I was a kid. Ah, I lived here when I was a kid too, and I also moved away. So, yeah, I don't know. We could have been here at the same time, Leah. You never know. All right, there's Craig Copland. Good, good. He's putting on his ears. All events will be in-house and Zoom broadcast. We even Zoom produced a wedding early November. That's amazing. So if you're looking for, oh wow, a wedding setting, this would be perfect. And actually there's so much room here for social distancing. This would actually be a great place. I'm in my home, but at Char's, there's wonderful room for social distancing. Megan in Florida, hi Megan in Florida, says, I just have to say, Craig, that library is amazing. Yeah. And Carl is our moderator, and Carl noted that when COVID is over, we will keep using Zoom. And you'll see Carl at our other events, such as the Electric Mermaid. And I was talking about that earlier, and the room is filling up. So I'll mention just a bit about that. The Electric Mermaid is a monthly event. It's a live spoken word that comes via Zoom and charslanding.com. You can sign up for it, and there's directions on charslanding.com. It's on the third Friday of every month. And we have 2 special features, and then the other people who sign up will get a 5-minute spot. At least I think they're going to stay 5 minutes. We get a lot of them will probably trim the spots down. But anyway, very exciting. So charslanding.com is your portal to a lot of fun. And we welcome you from wherever you are. You don't have to live in beautiful Port Alberni. Craig is in Vernon.
I am, and I do note that it is 2 o'clock, so we should probably get started. And welcome to all of you from all over the world, or whatever you are. I know that we have folks coming in from Argentina and around British Columbia and the US and Calgary and who knows where else. So great to have you all with us. And I am in Vernon, British Columbia. That is the view from the back deck. The webinar, as Jackie has mentioned, is managed by Char's Landing on Vancouver Island. Char's Landing is a wonderful little cafe and center for the arts and literary events, and has been going for several years. And of course, COVID hit and they had to go online, and they've been running all sorts of wonderful events online since that time. If you want to express your appreciation to Char and her organization and her contribution, you could put a like on her Facebook page, or you could send her a nice email note. But best of all, just send money. she would appreciate it. And there's the transfer if you want to send it. There's no obligation. This is a free seminar, but if you want to express your appreciation to Char, that's the way to do it. Jackie Carmichael, who is also on the screen, is the co-host and actually came up with the idea for this event. She runs Amazing, Strong, Inspired Event Management Company and is the author of Herd Amidst the Guns Below, a wonderful story about World War I, and Tweets from the Trenches, and also organizes and produces the Women's Yakfest. If you want to know more about her, you could just Google Jacqueline Carmichael in Google and it's all there. All right, we're going to get started. I will stop every so often. You can send your emails in by text. Jackie will be curating them and trying to pull out the ones that seem to be most appropriate. And I'll stop every so often and try to answer them all. I'm going to say a little bit about myself. The only reason for doing that is to convince all of you who are listening and watching that if somebody who is a 70-year-old techno dinosaur can figure out how to manage and master Amazon self-publishing, so can you. All right, if you're younger than me, no excuses. So it can be done. What I will add about myself, anything else you want to know about me is on my my website. But what isn't there is why I actually decided to go with self-publishing. When I retired, I said I want my retirement career to be in writing. I want to be a writer, and I did some homework, and I found out a few things. One is that my likelihood of landing a book deal with a major publishing house, and I don't mean with Ogopogo Press of Peachland, British Columbia. I mean with FSG or HarperCollins or Macmillan or one of the big New York firms. You might be about 1 in 1,000 or probably close to 1 in 10,000. Just wasn't going to happen. The people that land deals like that are, one, they can be an exceptionally brilliant, creative, gifted writer, which I'm not, or they could be a famous celebrity and already have a following, and just because of who they are, somebody will buy their book. I'm not. You could have a peculiar and special recognized expertise in something that is a really hot topic, which I don't. You could have had a very unusual upbringing and life story. There is a book that came out just over a year ago about a woman who had been raised in a fundamentalist Mormon household, and then she went on to get a PhD. And she wrote a wonderful story about it. It was unusual, it was unique, and it became a bestseller. I am a cisgendered 70-year-old white male who grew up in the suburbs of Toronto with a WASP background. There's nothing exceptional about me. I've had a lot of wonderful adventures, and frankly, I'm not telling anybody about them because they're nobody's business except my own. They're going with me to the grave. And because I have children and grandchildren, I don't want them to hear them. Those are things you have to be, and I'm not any of those. So I decided I would self-publish. I did my homework and I found out it's not that difficult, and on we go. So you can do it. Here's the goal of this seminar, this webinar. By the end of this, you should be ready to self-publish your book as an ebook and a paperback on Amazon. You can do it. I did it. I simply taught myself. You will not have learned much about marketing and selling your books. That is in the second webinar, 1 week from today. So who you are a writer who has a book ready or almost ready to be published, and you are sensible and reasonable. By that, I mean you know perfectly well that you are not going to publish one book and sell 1 million copies and make $2 million or $10 million and live the life forever afterwards. That's not going to happen. You also are sensible and reasonable. You know that you don't want to spend more to learn about self-publishing than you're possibly going to earn from it. There are ads on the internet constantly now and on YouTube and everywhere else about people wanting to sell you a course on how to self-publish. There's one that starts off saying self-published authors on average only earn $1.39 a day. But if you take this particular course, which is valued at this many $1,000, and I'll throw in this and this and this and this, and the real value is $19,000, and you can take the course for the cheap, low price of $3,900. Don't do it. You don't need to pay a lot of money to learn how to self-publish. Everything you need to know is already on Amazon. Just follow the instructions. You can learn it from free seminars like the one you're in the midst of right now. You can go onto YouTube and put in how to self-publish, and it will all be there. You can go to Amazon and look for books on how to self-publish. The most you should spend is maybe $20, and you will learn how to self-publish. This is you. Any and all of these are fine. What you want to do is to write one book, perhaps a memoir for you, your family, and friends. And that's all you want to do. That's great. You can self-publish that and have it hard paperback copy in your hands within about 2 weeks of posting it. And most of that is the time it takes to arrive in the mail. Or maybe you want writing as a side hustle that'll earn you extra income at your life in the midst of COVID. You're stuck at home, you need something else to do, and writing appeals to you. And writing does add enormously to your life. It is an incredible experience to create something brand new, out of whole cloth, put it out there, have people read it, buy it, read it, enjoy it, say something nice about it on Amazon, send you an email. It is gratifying. And if you end up selling a surprising number of copies, it is just a wonderfully satisfying experience. And you'll become part of the writers' communities all over the world if you want, or even just in your local area. And writers are, by nature, interesting people. Some aren't the nicest, some of them are rather difficult and challenging personalities, but they are fascinating. Or you may want to build a career as a full-time writer. You can do that by self-publishing. It will not happen overnight, but it is realistic to believe that within, say, 3 years, if you work hard, work smart, you can start to generate $5,000 to $10,000 a month by self-publishing. You will not live lavishly, but it is enough to live on and to have the joy of being a writer. So, the world of self-publishing in 2021, this is what it is. Now, for everything I say, you can come up with an exception. So, what I'm giving is the general nature of the self-publishing world. On this regard, as far as exceptions go, I would quote the great seer writer Damon Runyon, who reminded us that the battle is not always to the strong, nor the race to the swift, but that's the way you bet. So these are the general truths of self-publishing. And one, the self-publishing world today is digital. The world has gone from paperbacks and has moved over, and if you are starting with self-publishing, then the bulk of your sales will be of ebooks. When I started 6 years ago, it split about 50-50, ebooks and paperbacks. That shifted to like 60-40, 70-30, and it's now closer to 80-20 as far as people reading ebooks rather than paperbacks. Second, like it or not, the world of ebooks is Amazon-centric. Amazon may be a monster, but it is a big, friendly monster, user-friendly at least, consumer-friendly, customer-friendly, and Amazon owns the earth. When I started doing this 6 years ago, I used another service called Smashwords. Wonderful service, very, very fine people running it. And through them, I was able to post books on Kobo and Barnes & Noble and Nook and Apple Books and a bunch of other services and outlets I'd never heard of. And I did that. And after 1 year, I looked and thought and realized that 90% of everything I had sold was on Amazon and 10% on everything else combined. That was okay. You don't want to cut out 10% just for the sake of it. But then Amazon introduced what they call the Kindle Select, where people who subscribe to Kindle Unlimited can borrow a book and read it, and the author gets paid half a cent a page, but you must be exclusive to Amazon. So I took all my books off of Smashwords and put them all on Amazon, enrolled them all in Kindle Select. I'll talk more about this in a minute or two, and my income doubled. So like it or not, the world is run by Amazon. The e-book and self-published world, whatever you're putting out there is relatively short. Okay, if you're thinking that you're going to publish, well, I have it here. There's a great book, Gravity's Rainbow. Huge, it's thick. It's a, you know, it's a door stopper. If you want to publish, if it's Just by David Foster Wallace, 1,000 pages, that's not you. You're going to keep within your genre, and whatever people read now on their phones and on their Kindles and iPads, they are reading shorter works. So if you're publishing something which is nonfiction and you're an expert in something, fine, then keep it under 50,000 words. If you're publishing fiction, stories, romance, thrillers, spy, mystery, 80,000 is probably the limit. 100,000 is getting long. But if you're publishing epic fantasies, you can go a bit above that, but do not go much longer. A dear friend from Argentina who sent me his book, he'd been working on it for 10 years. It was something like 600 pages and 240,000 words. And I just told him the best thing he could do is cut it into 3 books of about 60, 70,000 words each and publish them, and not publish a doorstopper. They will not sell. Fourth, I'm up there now. E-publish and ebooks are cheap and they're price sensitive. So if you have a book, you've worked on it for years, you think somebody should be paying me at least $20 for this book, they won't. Unless you're publishing something which is like scientifically specific or some esoteric knowledge that you have in finance, in health, in medicine, perhaps those books you can ask for more. But most of you, if you're here, you're looking at writing a romance or writing a mystery or writing about dogs and pets or gardening, whatever. You are going to have to keep that price down under $10. And in one analysis I saw fairly recently, it showed the price sensitivity as you moved your price up. So it said if you're writing at $2.99, there wasn't much difference in how many sales you're going to make if you bump it to $3.99. Once you went to $4.99 and $5.99, the sales start to decline. Maybe that's unfair, but that's just the nature of the world. So books are going to be cheap. Fifth, the world of self-publishing is American. As Canadian, I don't like that. It's painful, but such is life. 80% of my sales are in the United States of America, and about 10% in the UK, and about 4 or 5% in Canada, and then the rest is scattered through the rest of the world. The market for ebooks through Amazon is in the United States. And as a result of that, I do the very unhonorable thing of taking the U out of honor and valor and neighbor and color, and I write in American spelling. If that bothers you, well, you can do whatever you want. Some people feel that that is a horrible thing to do. I had one lady from the UK who castigated me for the fact that I spelled mum, M-O-M, rather than M-U-M. She said if it was a mum in Britain, I should have spelled it M-U-M. But I just looked and said, okay, if the UK becomes where 80% of my sales are, I'll start to use UK spelling. So like it or not, the market is in the United States. The market also is predominantly female. This came across, I was listening to a webinar by James Patterson, who has sold like 23 billion books or something. And he just told people, said, all right, imagine your reader. She is and then you stop. 75% of all books are purchased by women. And they're generally women over 25 years of age with above average education who reads books. It doesn't mean that men don't, but the market is like 3-to-1 women versus men. Next thing, you're going to write within genre. By genre, you mean those are those categories of books that we all write in, whether it's romance, whether it's nonfiction, whether it's art or culture or finance or pets or thriller or spy or young adult or erotica. You are going to write within fiction, within genre, or in the UK or other places referred to as commercial fiction, commercial writing. You are not very likely going to write literary fiction. All right, some of you remember this book, Ulysses by James Joyce. Incredible book. You're not going to write it. Literary fiction is what people don't buy. It's what gets prizes. But if you are thinking, if you're going to write, if you're that good, you should be looking for a publisher, not worry about self-publishing. Next thing, what sells today are writing a series. So if you write one book and it's a one-off about one topic, you may have a few sales. If you write a different book on a different topic or a different set of heroes, it'll have a few sales. But what really builds up a following is when you have a continuing series with the same hero or the same cluster of people, the same town, the same something, so that it continues on from one story to the next. If you're writing nonfiction, fine. If you're writing about gardening, write about roses for one book and chrysanthemums for the next and hydrangeas the next, whatever, but write a series and write quickly. If you write one book in January of this year and you wait another whole year to write the next one, 10,000 other books will have been published in that time. In fact, way more than that. Amazon is now uploading over 5,000 books a day. So the competition is pretty stiff. You've got to build a following and build it steadily. That means writing a series and try to write at the very least 2 books a year, ideally 3 or 4, or if you can do it, 5 or 6 or more books a year. Keep them short. They will not be perfect. That's number 9. You can always look at something you've written and think, gosh, my characters could have been better drawn. My metaphors could have been more exact. My descriptions could have been better. My dialogue could be more sparkling. You can always make a book better, but at some point you have to say, it is perfectly good enough to put up there. As long as you've got a good story, people will enjoy it. Now, having said that, self-publishing is also unforgiving, meaning that you can't put up a book for sale that is full of mistakes. Make sure that by the time you put your book on the market, all of the grammar errors, the typos, the punctuation errors are cleaned up, because people will notice that. Even if they say you've got a good story, but you're sloppy. So, and have your books fact checked. By that I mean you can't say in your book that the hero walked off into the sunset on Fifth Avenue, New York City. Why? Well, Fifth Avenue doesn't run east and west, it runs north and south. If you do that, people will jump all over you. I had a book which I read, and it was set in the Victorian era, and it started off talking about leaving England. Well, it was under the care of the great beloved Queen Victoria, and the hero sailed across America and immediately met Theodore Roosevelt, the President of the United States. There's a problem. Queen Victoria died in January of 1901. Theodore Roosevelt did not become president until September 1901. You can't put in mistakes, anachronisms, things that are factually wrong. Make sure they are not there. So the book has to be clean and perfect that way. It can have characters that are flat. It can have cliches, but you must have it properly vetted, cleaned up. I'll talk about this again in a minute or two, but professional editors are expensive. So you may look and say, I can't really justify spending $1,000 or $2,000 to have my first book thoroughly edited. Fine, download Grammarly, download Pro Writing Aid. Give your book to people that are knowledgeable about English grammar and punctuation. Have people, beta readers, read it. Make sure that it is fully cleaned up before you post it. And finally, slow but steady wins the race. You are not going to build a career as a self-published author. You're not going to build a great following as a self-published author overnight. But 2 or 3 years is a reasonable expectation for you to build at least a decent side hustle, if not a full-time business and career in life as a self-published author. And I'm going to stop there. I've covered a lot. They're going to go in a minute into the actual mechanism for self-publishing. But Jackie, any questions come in that we need to address at this point?
Hi, no, we looks like people are keeping up pretty well. Just a reminder to people to look at your chat bar and you can post your questions there. I know Adelaide had an issue with perhaps with her Wi-Fi, but other than that, I think we are coming along. We've got some nice notes and we'll see the text later. But so far, people are keeping up with you. And if you have a question, you can put it in the chat side. I'll bring it to Craig's attention. Thank you. All right, Craig. Oh, we got one note here. What is your thought on publishing short story collections? Craig, you are muted.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
And
all right. Yeah, so there, let me just say here that yeah, there's short story there's all kinds of, what Craig is talking about here with the genre writing is for people who want to turn this into sort of like a cottage industry and crank out a bunch of good genre fictions. So there are other things if you're going to be using like hand copies and certainly there are short stories, collections, poetry books, all of these things you can do either or. It's probably usually good to do both, to do an ebook. And if you're going to be visiting, you know, doing a lot of hand selling, then you'll want paper copies too. I just wanted to make that note.
okay, and we should also remind people that the session is recorded. If I go too quickly, just pull down the recording and you can cover it all again. Okay, moving on now to how to publish your book on Amazon. I opened up simply Google, sign into your KDP account, and that is what it will look like, except let me, okay, what we're going to do is sign me out of my KDP account. And this is the page you will see when you just put in KDP and click into Amazon KDP. This is very useful. If you follow this little video, it tells you all sorts of things about how to self-publish. If you go down here, learn how easy it is. Amazon itself will walk you through the process.
Craig, I just wanted to let you know we are still looking at your notes, your welcome notes. So we are not, you have not shared your screen with that other, what you're moving over to is if you intend to. There we go.
There we go. Okay. Apologies for that. So this is the screen that you will see when you open up Amazon KDP. And you can watch the video, you can follow the instructions, it's not terribly difficult. Now, I already have an account set up, but first thing you're gonna have to do is set up your account. That means you put in your name, your address, your banking information, where the checks are going to be sent or where they're going to deposit the money. If you live outside the United States of America, because Amazon is an American company, they will do a tax withholding of about 15%. That's not a big deal if you're only making $10, but if you're going to make $1,000, you want that $150. And then what you have to do is register go to an accountant or a lawyer who handles this and ask them to get you what's called an ITIN, I-T-I-N number. And you then send that, it's registered with the IRS in the United States. You send that to Amazon, and then they send you all the money they don't withhold. But that is a step that you have to do before you can actually self-publish on Amazon. You have to set up your account. And then once your account is set up, you will sign in, and it'll look all right. Now this is my page, and I have signed in. So it has all my books on it. And what we're going to do, I'm going to walk you through first how to self-publish a Kindle book, and secondly, how to publish a paperback. So let's go to Kindle. And if we click on that, this is what comes up. And you fill in your book title, the subtitle, if it's series, and so on. Now I'm going to click over to one which I have already filled in. And this is a book which I call The Return of Napoleon, a New Sherlock Holmes Mystery. Okay, first of all, the title and subtitle have to convey what your book is about. You don't want people looking at it and going, yeah, what is that? You want them to be able to see that, yes, this is the type of book I want to read. So title and subtitle are important. Do not make them have to work to figure out what the book's about. I'm writing in a series. You may not, but if you do eventually write in a series, then you can, Amazon tells you, you can put in a series, put the series number on it, and off you go. You're author. My name is Craig Copland. I decided to use 3 names for my writing and called myself Craig Stephen Copland, used my middle name just because, well, it was pretentious. So authors like to be pretentious. Well, all right, on we go. Contributors, you can add people to this if other people have helped you as an author or editor forward or any of these roles. But in fact, most of you, it'll just be you, so you don't put in anything additional in this box. The description of your book is critical. Please spend time and do this carefully and thoroughly. When people open up your Amazon page for your book, this is what they're going to see. Keep in mind, like any sales, the story or whatever you tell people is not about you, it's about them, why they should buy it. You want to create something in them that makes them click and say, yes, I want to buy it, or at the very least, you want them to do the look inside and look at your book. So the first sentence should be something which grabs the interest of the reader. Now, my book was about Napoleon. I wrote it as a ghost story for Sherlock Holmes, or a semi-ghost story, pseudo-ghost story. And the story was that Napoleon's ghost returned and murders were happening and strange things were happening. So this was my opening line in my book description. In October 1805, Napoleon's fleet was defeated at the Battle of Waterloo. Now his ghost has returned to England for the centenary of the battle, intent upon wreaking havoc on the descendants of Admiral Horatio Nelson and all of England. And then I went on to say a few more things about it, and I end up with, say, buy it now, enjoy my Sherlock. Don't forget, all new Sherlock Holmes books are always free to borrow on Amazon Prime and KU. All right. So what you want to do is put in something dramatic, have the stakes be important, try to convey something in your book description that makes the reader feel this is important to them. Thank goodness, I made a typo. I forgot to leave a space.
Craig, we have a question, which is, why is your description all caps? And it looks like it's just the top part. Talk to us about the difference between using caps and then upper and lowercase.
Okay, you don't want to write anything very excessive in all caps. I did this just because it was a headline and would grab the reader. And that's what I've done. You don't have to by any stretch. But this was my grabber sentence, so I put it in caps. That's the only reason, because I thought it might be more effective, because when people open up your book page, you've only got a few seconds to grab them. And you want them you don't want them to just scan it and for 5 seconds and click onto something else. You want them to see it, be drawn in to read it thoroughly, and either to buy your book or at the very least to look inside your book. So that was the only reason I did it. And then the bulk of the information is in lower caps, but then I put a sub headline on it. Again, as just a reminder. So the all caps had nothing other than sales and marketing purposes. All right. Publishing rights. The minute you publish something, you own it. You own the copyright. However, it may be very useful for you to register the copyright. If you're Canadian, with the Office of Intellectual Property, you can Google that and then actually get the copyright certificate. It costs $50, but then it is absolutely unquestionably yours. But you can just also click here, I own the copyright. Now, keywords are very important because Amazon primarily is more of a search engine than it is of a bookstore. Especially if you're writing in nonfiction, you need keywords which will draw people to your book. If you're writing about how to build a raised garden plot, then those keywords should be in your keyword selection. You get 7 of them. Now, I have found, because I write Sherlock Holmes pastiche or fan fiction, that about 99% of any searches done have the words Sherlock Holmes in them. So that's what I put in. I've got Sherlock Holmes pastiches, and my name of my book, Sherlock Holmes books, Arthur Conan Doyle, Sherlock Holmes Kindle, whatever. Yours should be selectively chosen so that they fit your book. Don't be vague. You need to draw them as much as you get closely as you can to your book, because if they're searching, you want your book to come up. Set categories. You have your choice of all sorts of categories. This is what comes up, and then I'm writing fiction, and then it gives me this great choice of all the different types of fiction. I chose to write, where's it go, mystery and detective. All right, and then they give you a selection of mystery and detective. Mystery, yeah. And I chose historical and traditional British, and that's what we keep. So choose your category carefully. You don't want to just say fiction. You want to try to go down as exact as you can into the categories that your book falls into. Age and grade range. If you're writing kids stuff that is useful, I leave it blank. Pre-order was already done. So we're saving, and I'm going to stop here now. This is the first page of the Amazon Kindle, the ebook entry, the book details. Jackie, any questions coming in on that?
I have one, and it is on the pre-order. Is it better to get it up there, even if you're going to put it out in 2 months? Is it better to get it up there so you start piquing interest?
2 months is probably a long way out, but definitely 2 weeks. You should, because we'll get to this much more next week when we talk about marketing and selling. But if you have built up a following of people that enjoy reading your work and you have their names and email addresses, you should start reminding them well in advance that this book is coming out. For whatever it's worth, I put my books up on pre-order 2 weeks before they're published, and the pre-order price is $1 cheaper. So you say, buy it, pre-order now, get it at a discount. I think that helps move a few sales, but yes, 2 months is way too far out. You'll be forgotten, but a couple of weeks if you're ready to do that. Now, you must have your final manuscript put up about 4 or 5 days ahead of the day that it's released. So don't get yourself get caught by having a draft rough manuscript entered with your pre-order and not have your final manuscript up in time. All right, we moved on to the second page. This is the ebook content. Digital rights management, generally, no, you don't need it. Upload an ebook manuscript. All right, we are now going to go over and talk about your ebook manuscript. And let me just find it here. All right, there is a wonderful tool that Amazon has created for you called Kindle Create. Just Google Kindle Create, download the app, the software, and use this if you're brand new. And you can upload your manuscript into Kindle Create. It'll get it all nicely formatted for you and set up, and then you can go in and edit and fix it. It's a fabulous tool. If you can see down here, it says view the user guide. Well, do that. And it walks you all through how to put books up on Kindle. Now, is that absolutely necessary? No, I learned how to do put books up just using Word, and I did it before Kindle Create came out, so it's not difficult. What you see now, do you see a book, Return of Napoleon, up in front of you now, Jackie?
Yes, I sure do. Looks good.
Okay, so now on formatting for ebooks. Ebooks, people can change their font, the size, and the type of font, whether it's serif or sans serif. So it is not as critical as to what font you use, but try to make it as clean as you can. I justify everything to the left, and I do that solely because so many people now are reading on their phone, and I just want to make sure everything fits in. You can justify it in the middle. Kindle Create will set it up nicely for you, but this is just a page in Word. And keeping in mind that in ebooks, you can use color to highlight things, and there's no extra cost or no extra charge, and it spiffs the book up a bit. All right, I have a note to the reader, I have my dedication. Here's something which I put in to every single book 2 or 3 times. You can see it here. If you enjoy the story, there's ways that it could be improved. Please help the author and future readers by leaving a constructive review on the site from which you obtained the book. Thank you very much. Appreciated. CSC, that's me. Reviews are very important. I'll talk about that more next week, but you get them by asking for them and ask repeatedly for them. And you may get 1 in 100. People generally don't bother leaving them, but they are very, very useful for your future sales. So ask for them. Contents. Now, this is not a seminar on how to use Word, MS Word, or Apple comparable word processing. You should know how to create a table of contents by putting a heading 1 on your chapter and then using the chapter formatting. If you don't know that, go to Google and say how to create table of contents in MS Word, and it'll explain it. But these tables, this is now all connected so that if somebody clicks on this, it will take them right down to that chapter. You need to have a working table of contents. And then you need to write your book and lay out the chapter and the heading. And I put in a nice little picture because I'm writing in a pseudo-Victorian style. And so I like to do it that way and put in a picture or a glyph or something like that. It is quite common to put the first 3 words of any chapter into caps and then continue on. You don't have to justify your ebook on both sides. You will in the paperback, but Kindle then looks after all of that for you. And it ain't rocket science. So when I just opened up my Kindle and get rid of that. Have we done that? Okay, let's open up. This is a way that Kindle will come out. And that's not my book, but that is what a Kindle, you can see it will justify it for you. People will decide how they want it to look. They'll decide on the font size, if they want it smaller or bigger. They'll decide on all those things. So you don't have to worry about that. Put it up in Kindle Create and then upload it. And now, that is the way the book looks. This is just simply a Word document. And I've put in the chapter, the name of the chapter. I put in a little picture. It dresses it up. You don't have to do that. You could just have chapter 2 and put it in ordinary unadorned, but that's no fun. So dress your book up, make it look nice. The thing to do with this is to go to any ebook you have bought recently, and if you like the way it's laid out, copy it. Okay, there's no law against copying formatting and creative ideas. You can't copy the text, of course, but the general rule, as we learned years ago, is that to copy from one source is plagiarism. To copy from many sources is research. So go and look at what is selling and what you're buying and what looks good, and make yours look the same way. This is not rocket science. And I'm going to go back to this, and now if I can get myself back to where I want to be, and I'm sorry about that, it's going to take me a minute. Okay, there we go. If your manuscript is ready, it can be in Word. It doesn't have to be a PDF. It's in Word. Upload the manuscript, and then it will give you a manuscript choice to upload. For example, there's ones that I could choose from, but I've already uploaded this one, so I'm not going to do any more. They will do a spell check and tell you, are there spelling errors? And you should go back and fix them. And then, having done that, it's time for your cover. Covers are critical. You've got to have a cover which tells people that this book is something like what they want to read. And you do that, again, by going to your particular genre, and I'm going to do this here. I hope that I don't lose everybody. Let's say you're writing a cozy mystery. Okay, and you can see what the covers look like. They all have that sort of similar, fairly happy, colorful look to them. Yours should look something like that, as to find out what the bestseller is. And if you go to a book cover designer, say, look at these and make mine look something like that. But let's say, for instance, we want to go to thrillers and mysteries, bestsellers. Okay, these covers look somewhat different. They're cooler. There's a lot more blues and blacks and other dark colors. So make your cover look like whatever is selling. Now, covers can cost anywhere from a few dollars to a few $1,000s. There's no need to spend $1,000 on a book cover. You should make yourself very familiar with Fiverr. Let me just. Okay, Fiverr is just this incredible place for you to find people that perform a whole range of services for a very low price. They're all freelancers. And we're going to look here under book covers. Okay. These are all people who will make book cover covers for you. And they're good. Okay, like there's a good one with Frank Sinatra looking great, and they would do that for you for $13 Canadian. You can look at all these. So just use Fiverr extensively. There's no point when you're starting paying 500 or $1,000 for book cover. There's many people on Fiverr that are doing it and doing it very effectively. Fiverr is full of brilliant young men and women from all over the world, many of them working in developing countries, but they're absolutely incredibly talented and a whiz on anything online, connected to the internet, digital, and you ask them for book covers, they do something like this, and you'll have it back to you within a day or 2 or 3 days. It'll look great. If you don't like it, don't buy it. Find somebody else you do like. So, but critical that your book cover, which I'm now going to get back to, that your book cover conveys something about the book. This is the size that people are going to see when they're scrolling. So they need to see the title. For me, they need to see Sherlock Holmes. They can see the subtitle, A New Sherlock Holmes Mystery, and they see a picture of Napoleon. This is a famous painting of Napoleon by David, and he reappears throughout the book. So Fiverr, use it. Or find somebody who does book covers for you. Do not try to do it yourself unless you're incredibly skilled in using Adobe or other design software. It is possible to design a book cover in Word, just using all the functions that it now has available. But unless you're really good at it, just go to Fiverr, find a good book designer, try out several, get a cover that you think you like, and use it. On we go. You can launch your book previewer, and this is where you check and make sure that your book is actually the way you want it. So here we go. We're going to click on the page. I put ads in the front of my books to encourage people to buy others, and this is what somebody is going to see when they read your book on their tablet. And you need to go through page by page, read it, and make sure that it's clean, that it looks good, that there aren't anomalies, that you don't have chapter breaks where you don't want them, and on you go.
Craig, we have a question about, a couple of questions. One is about using freelancers. Who owns the copyright if someone else designs your cover, and who is responsible for assuring any copyright on images? And my answer to that was you are responsible to check for the copyright, but if you pay for the work and for what it's used for, it is yours and you have the copyright for it.
Absolutely. That is the answer. If you pay for it within Fiverr, in the terms of agreement, if you're buying something, you then own the copyright. But be careful. On my very first cover, I came up with what I thought was a really clever idea. Isn't that a great cover? This was my Sherlock Holmes story, and it was sort of spiffed or riffed off of Gone with the Wind. And Scarlett O'Hara came to England, asked Sherlock Holmes to help her find her missing husband, Red Butler. And that picture just disappeared. I'm not sure why. And let me just, no. People liked it. I got a lot of compliments on it. People thought it was really great. And then a few weeks later, I got a nasty note from Amazon saying that they'd been contacted by Turner MGM saying that I infringed copyright. And I said, well, it's parody. Parody is acceptable. Well, I'm not about to fight MGM and Turner Broadcasting, so I had to put in a brand new cover. So yes, make very sure that you own that you have full copyright, and that is why it is useful to register your copyright with the Office of Intellectual Property, either in Canada or the US, and have it a registered copyright, and then you can note that on your copyright page. If anybody questions, you can send them a copy or scanned copy of your copyright certificate. So yes, copyright is important, and Amazon is starting to crack down a lot on copyright issues. Any other questions? Jackie?
Yeah, we had another one. Let's see. It was, I do a lot of graphic work and incorporate stock photos. Would that be allowed on a book cover, or is that a no-no? Well, if you use graphic work that comes from a stock photo, somebody else may use it too, because they can buy that same stock photo unless you pay for it to only be yours. So you have to check the license also on your stock photo to make sure what you have permission to use it for. So, and then, like I said, if you use a stock photo, just be aware that other people can buy the same stock photo. There was another question. Yeah, image copyrights and licensing. So there are ways to check on image copyright and licensing. And one of them is, like, if you find it on the internet, for example, on Wikipedia, and you look and it'll have a rating on a photo. So if it's a photo from over 100 years ago, and they'll probably say, well, anybody can use it. So you have to check your copyrights for sure. That's on you, not on your designer.
Okay, now, as far as using and purchasing photos, I use Shutterstock, use CanStock. The idea it's really not a big deal that somebody may end up with a similar image on their book as you end up on yours. The likelihood of them crossing over and people getting confused is probably about 0. So don't worry too much about that. The same thing comes, people say, well, what if somebody steals my book, or if I have a PDF and they start to resell it themselves? The general answer is, like, unless they are reselling thousands and tens of thousands of them, don't worry about it. Somebody who buys a cheap bootleg copy of your book was not going to pay full price for yours. And if more people are getting it and more people are getting it out there, that is not a bad thing. So for the most part, don't worry about it. Copyright your material, but it's really not a big deal to worry about somebody having something out there which is overly similar to what you've written. Now, I'm going to move on now to pricing your books. All right, here is, this is important, KDP Select enrollment. Maximize my royalties with KDP Select optional. You want to do this in almost all your books. In order to do this, your book must be priced $109.99, and Amazon must have exclusive rights to sell the ebook. But it makes a huge difference in your income and the number of books which are read. I now have probably 3 or 4 times more books borrowed and read through Kindle Unlimited than I do for book sales. Now, the income is about the same, but you have many, many more books which are, yeah. Now, what I'm going to do here is go to
So I'm sorry, Craig, that one that said this is your income just from today, that was for that book. That showed you how many copies it sold and how much you
okay,
earned.
let me get back to that in a minute, Jackie. First of
Thank
all,
you.
I'm going to deal with the issue of page reads. This is for the month of January so far. 248,273 pages of my books have been read. I get a half a cent a page for that, but what's more interesting is that my books average about 250 pages. So that's like about 1,000 books that have actually been read this month. And this is one of the reports that Amazon will give you. And what is incredibly gratifying, I'm just going to go to what's happened in my whole life since I started doing this. I'm now at 6,800,000 pages, but you can see what happened when I decided to stop going wide and putting everything on Amazon. And my page reads took a huge jump, and there's still an enormous part of what I've been able to do on Amazon. So, and that, yes, the page you just saw, the dashboard, that is what's happened so far today. And today, 13,000 pages being read. I sold 4 books. I have an income of $99 so far. and it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So, as I say, you don't get enormously rich off this, but
So
there's
that's from that figure and that number, that's from all of your books that you have listed.
yes, absolutely.
You know, $100 for just letting them sell, that's pretty nice.
It's
And
not
the
a
day
bad,
is young.
yes.
Okay.
So, all right, on we go, and I'll try to remember which of these I was on. Here you go. All right, now, selling your book. For ebooks, you have a choice. If your book is listed at under $2.99, you can only get a 35% royalty, right? So that's like 33 cents, 34 cents a book if you put it at 99 cents, which is the cheapest that you can do on Amazon. Most books claim a 70% royalty, but your book then must be, as you can see here, between $2.99 and $9.99. The market for the type of books I write is $3.99. So that's what I put it at. Now, that means for every time one of my books is sold, I get $2.36. It's not bad if you're selling a lot of books. It does add up. Book lending, allow the book to be loaned. You may as well, because when they do it, you then get page read options. Now it says it can take up to 72 hours for your title to appear on Amazon. I'm not going to publish this because I've already published it. And when you publish it again, it goes through a whole vetting thing, and goodness knows when somebody at Amazon is going to make a complaint about it and make you go and fix something. So don't bother doing that again, but you will then be ready to publish your Kindle book. Now, we're going to switch over, and I'm going to stop there. That's it for ebooks. If you just follow through what I've explained, you can publish your ebook, and it will be available for download within 72 hours and usually within 24.
Okay, great. So then my question to you to recap, we had one question come in that said, is this pricing in US funds or Canadian?
Oh,
And
okay.
is it better to start at the cheaper price until you get a following? That's another question.
Okay, first of all, you can, sorry, I should have outlined that when we did it, and let's see if we can do, okay, now.
USD, US dollars.
Yes, but now other marketplaces, and there is a price you can have for all of your other locations. Now, I changed this to $3.99 Canadian. Otherwise, it would automatically use the current price exchange. So it would have been, almost $5 Canadian just because of the difference in the currency.
And it would be a weird number instead of $3.99, which some people can't figure out is pretty much $4. So
yes, okay. So for example, when it went on to the UK, it automatically moved it to $3 or £3.04. And those are all the Amazon marketplaces, and you can just adjust the prices accordingly. So I put it at $3.99 US. I adjust the Canadian price because I'm Canadian. I don't want them to be have to pay more than the Americans. So I do fix that one, and otherwise I let the rest of them go. I could put 304. I could change this to $2.99, but it's really not going to make much difference because, again, almost all of my sales are in the U.S. And
okay.
Sorry, what was the other question, Jackie?
The other question, well, first of all, we do have another hour to this workshop. So just keep in mind, we do have another hour. Craig, we were thinking of possibly taking a quick little break so people can stand up and get a drink of water. How do you feel about that? Will that work for you?
Sure, make it quick.
Yeah, all right, 8 minutes. Can we do an 8-minute break?
No, we can do 3 minutes.
Okay, 3-minute break, run. We'll be back in 3 minutes with more of this wonderful self-publishing workshop. We're going to go over to the print books, and we're going to answer some more of the questions that have arisen in the chat. So grab a break.
Hey, Craig, this is Charlene. What a wonderful afternoon, huh?
I think he went on a break, washroom break.
Craig, I just asked you to unmute. This is Char, and wonderful afternoon. Could I get you to put up a screen that says, could you put up a screen to say we'll be back in 5 or at 3:05 or something like that? And wonderful afternoon.
Okay, no, let me see if I can do that. I don't, we've got about 2 minutes left anyway.
Yeah, that's the spot. Yeah, just say back in. I've got 3:02 right now, and you said about 3 minutes, which was good. So
So, minutes wrong.
great job. And if people are out there, this is Char of the Zoom production and Carl, the moderator. And we're just trying to make sure we have everyone's email addresses so that we can forward you the information about where to find the YouTube video and information about next Sundays. So we've privately messaged you under the chat window. If you could, I'll just run those messages again, and if you could reply back with the name and email address, we will get you the information next week. Thanks. Yes, I'm sorry. For those of you who registered through Eventbrite, we have you. You don't need to send your email address to everyone. I'm going to private message you from Char's chat window to get that information. There's only about 10 that we're missing, and I will privately message you. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to start up again. And I'm back to this page where you see Kindle Direct Publishing. Is everybody seeing that? Jackie, do you see that one now?
Yeah, the one that says book content, book cover. I wanted to mention just before we proceed, we did have a couple of questions. And maybe you can remember these when you're going ahead. Once your book is, this is from Mike MacArthur and Vernon, once your book is up, the dashboard is where you can see stats. I know you might not want to show, but can you tell us how detailed are the sales information? I think we kind of addressed that because we took a look at one of those, right? We have Lisa asking for advice on working with an editor before publishing. And I think we said for sure get beta readers and stuff. If you really need help, your beta readers say there's a lot of mistakes in here, you should get an editor. And there are editors that work at freelance rates, and some of them are more expensive than others, so you can check around. I'm gonna put pv.ca there, which is a BC organization of editors that you can send a request and it'll go out to everybody, and then they can respond with prices.
Okay, the issue on getting a professional editor is fraught with some challenges. One, just because of the cost. So everybody who tells you about writing tells you get your book edited. But if you're just starting, it's going to cost you a lot of money to do that if you're going to get a really good editor. So I have used editors in the past, and I've gone mainly now to self-editing with a lot of help, with beta readers, with people that will read very carefully, with Grammarly, with ProWriting Aid, with a number of software programs that are out there. And as long as you are rigorous with yourself and leave your book for a couple weeks and then go through and read it again and fix it, it'll probably be okay. It will be better, and especially as you get into writing more and more and selling more and more, if you can find an editor that you like and that you can work with. It is not absolutely critical. It is useful, but it's expensive.
And it depends on what your skills are, how well you did in English in high school. It can vary from person to person as to how much your work needs. Because if you don't recognize spelling mistakes or the difference between different words that are spelled differently but sound the same, that can be a challenge. So yeah, like Craig said, it's not required, but boy, it can sure help, depending.
Okay, so on we go. We're now going to run through how to create a paperback book, and there's a lot of carryover, so we'll move through it fairly quickly. But on this book now, we've got this Kindle Direct Publishing bookshelf, create a new title. We're going to create a paperback. And again, looks very much the same. Title, subtitle, author, contribution, your book description, your issue on publishing rights, keywords. These are all the same as you did last time. It does ask you if you have adult content. And unless you're writing erotica, then your answer is no. And if you are, then your answer is yes. But on you will go. Now, I'm going to move over to the same book, but this is now the print manuscript. And again, imagine this: when you open up the cover of the book, this is the page you see. Okay, and then I've got a dear reader note there, and then on comes the actual title page.
I don't think we can see that. You need to refresh or go to another screen, I think.
How's that?
Beautiful.
Okay. All right. There's the, just back up a bit. That is whatever they call that page, where it just has a note to the reader and the name of the book. And then there's a little note, and then there's the actual title page. So that is what the reader gets in there. This is the manuscript. Again, this is just in Word. And on we go. Now, to help you, and Amazon is awfully good about this, they provide yes, here's what you want to download. Paperback manuscript templates. And it shows where you can find them in Amazon, or you can just put up KDP paperback manuscript templates into your search bar, and this page will come up. And now Amazon does all this for you. It says you can have a blank template, or you can have the templates with sample content. The templates with sample content are incredibly useful. So what we do is we're going to download them. And now I'm opening the download. And next thing, which language do you want your template in? So we want English. And what size do you want your template to be? Now, standard pocketbook size 5x8, standard paperback is 6x9, standard large print and so on. You can go up to different sizes. So we are going with 6x9. And this is a template that Amazon very kindly this is a template that Amazon offers you for free. And you just put in your book title, your author's name, just fill in the blanks. This is a very, very basic copyright notice. And you can, I'll go back, but you can change it the way you want. Choose your dedication page, your table of contents, acknowledgements, and then your chapter, and all the page numbers and everything are already laid out for you. So what you will do is you will take your paperback manuscript and then just cut and paste it into the template. It's really that easy. It's not a difficult thing to manage. I'm going to shift back to the print. This is my book now. I've used the template. I can see I made a couple of little mistakes in it, but there it is. Now, in your print, you can play with your fonts to dress up the look of your page. Because I write in a Victorian Edwardian historical thing, I use this Victorian script, and all it does is dresses the page up a bit. And again, I put in the picture, change in font size, and I also put in a drop cap. Now you see this, and particularly in older books. Newer ones may not have a fancy one. They may just have the same script but in a larger size. And that is not difficult to do. Google MS Word or your Apple product, how to insert dropped caps. Now, I'm not even sure if I can do this. No, that didn't work. Okay. So those, now also in your formatting, again, this is not a seminar on how to format, but you need to justify left and right. You need to go to your paragraph functions in Word and set your spacing, set your font size, set the type of font you want, and set the spacing between paragraphs and line spacing. And all of that is part of knowing how to use MS Word. Any questions on that?
No, we're good so far.
Okay, so having done that, in order to submit it then as a paperback, and I'm going to get myself out of there and get myself back to in order to submit it as a paperback, sorry, I'm just floundering around here for a second to get myself back to the page that I want. You need to then copy it as a PDF into Amazon. Okay, and all right, just give me a moment to get back to where I want to be. And
Yeah, no problem. So turning it into a PDF for the print version, that's one of those things in Word that you'll want to learn how to do, and you can also Google it similarly with MS Word, how to turn a doc into a PDF. Yeah,
no, what I have up now is an MS Word document. Yeah. You can just go to File, pardon me while I get Save As, and I'm going to save it. I'll just do it in desktop. And there's the book, but I just go down here. Are you seeing this as I go?
Yep.
Okay, so you save it as PDF, and
oh yeah, I'm sorry. No, we're not seeing you doing your Word stuff about saving as a PDF, but I think we're following.
Okay, what do you see now? Do you see a save as?
No, we see the book title language, but we're on KDP with you.
Okay.
There.
And now do you see a PDF? The
Yes.
Return of Napoleon. All right, so I just saved that as a PDF. That's all there is to pulling out PDF. Do I want to do it? Yes, close all tabs. And I'll get rid of that page. And that's back to the Word document. And now I'm going to go back to KDP.
Well, we did have a question from Eveline in Vancouver. Her manuscript, she's working in Google Docs. Can she work from there, or does she have to have it in Word? And I said, I think as long as she can save it in a PDF, that's the critical thing. But what Amazon is going to want from you is the PDF. Is that, do I have that straight, Craig?
Yes.
Okay. So
Okay.
if whatever you're working in, you've got to be able to turn it into a save as, go to save as, file, save as, and you should be able to save it as a PDF. That PDF is what you're going to upload to Word and that's, I'm talking about on this, in this aspect of it, on the paper backside.
Yep. Okay, now this is my Amazon KDP print page for this. This is the content page, and it says every paperback must have an ISBN number. Ebooks do not require one. Amazon will give you one for free, but there are some follow-up controls then that they can say they own that number and you don't, and they may not want you then to be able to publish somebody else. You're not really sure. It's a little fuzzy. If you're in Canada, you can get your own ISBN number for free. Just dial, put an ISBN Canada into Google and you'll find it. If you're in America, you have to buy it from Bowders, and it's $35 or $40 for an ISBN. I just use Amazon's. They're free and it hasn't been a problem. So when I put this book in, I said, assign me a free KDP ISBN, and that's the one they gave me. And then you have to go back and insert it into your Word document before you copy your Word document into a PDF. Otherwise, you won't have it there. So.
Okay, Craig, I wanted to mention, I think the reason you want if you want to get your paperback book into bookstores, I believe it's, the image, I'm trying to think of the name of the company that does.
Ingram Spark.
Ingram Spark. I think that's where you run into an issue. I think you need a separate ISBN for that.
Yes. Okay. So if that is going to be an issue from you, just get an ISBN from the Canadian supplier. It's free, and you can paste it in, and then you can put your book up on Amazon. All right. You need to set your publication date, and now here's your print options. You can print black and white with cream paper. It's a little more expensive. Premium color interior with white paper. So if you're doing pictures, you can do all that. You can write children's books that have color all the way through them, but they will be more expensive. Standard size, this is 6x9, or select a different size. I could have done that, but I chose 6x9 because that's what I do for all my books. Bleed or no bleed, bleed PDF only. Do you want your cover glossy or matte? You got a choice. So those are the choices which I made. Black and white interior. This is just standard work. Black and white interior with white paper. It's 6x9 size. No bleed to the edges, glossy cover, and up we go. And then you upload your manuscript. And this will show up, and you'll wait for a few minutes until this appears, and your manuscript is uploaded. Now, cover. You have a choice with Amazon. They will even let you create your own cover, or you can supply your own. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm going to launch Cover Creator. And I'll see if this will allow us to just roll through this system. All right. So I uploaded this picture. It's the cover I had done for me. And I can edit or change it, but you can upload it. I uploaded the title. It moves, and then I changed this because my name with Amazon is registered as Craig Copland. I inserted the Stephen. I uploaded the picture and the text, and you could keep changing this. I could change that text if I wished, but that is the cover that I chose. So Cover Creator works very nicely. And if you do not have your own cover, you can choose from all sorts of ones that Amazon provides for you. I'm not sure. Okay, so here are all sorts of different layouts that you can choose from. And Amazon, you can just spend all sorts of time at Cover Creator choosing really, really cool covers. And they will design it for you. But it will look like an Amazon designed cover. It will not look like your book. So I'm going to go back to my bookshelf. I can get back there. All right, now, all right, a few years ago, a very, very smart guy, much smarter, more knowledgeable than me, named Thomas Piketty wrote a book called Capital of the 20th Century. I wrote a response to that and called it Doubting Thomas, Conservative Critique of Capital of the 20th Century, 21st Century. Now, this book cover was given to me by Amazon. I didn't pay for this. I just found it on Amazon and designed it accordingly. It is one of hundreds and hundreds of book covers which Amazon will give you. So back we go. All right. That's the book cover. It now says we can preview it. And sometimes Amazon takes time to think, and sometimes it moves quickly, and there it is. All right, so that is my book cover. And I can now save that and submit it.
Okay.
And
Now okay, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now we're back again. Having done that, you can now proof by launching the previewer of your book. This is similar, almost identical to what your ebook is. And this will take a minute or two because it's now preparing the files and so on. So sorry, Jackie, you had a question there?
Okay, so while that's spinning, the little wheel of death there, Laura wants to know, do you have to file US tax return for Amazon income? How does ITIN work?
Okay, no, what will happen is that Amazon will send you a T whatever comparable and say you made this much money off of Amazon. And also, if you have it deposited directly to your bank account, you can then just go to your bank records for the year and note the income which Amazon gave to you. The ITIN is in order to get rid of the holdback done by the IRS. So once you have an ITIN, and you register with Amazon, then 100% of your royalty comes into your bank account. It is then up to you to declare that as Canadian income to Revenue Canada. You don't have to pay anything to the IRS. Okay, what else did we miss while we're waiting for?
I'm just typing that answer in because I'm not sure that everybody has the audio. But anyway, yeah, 100% of the royalty comes to you, and it's up to you to report as Canadian income, providing that you've filed that ITIN. Yeah, there was a little bit of a debate about Ingram Spark and the sort of the tussle over the ISBN numbers, and sounds like Amazon made some clarifications recently, but we're not sure if the big booksellers are cool with that yet. So it's been my experience that booksellers do not want to buy from Amazon, mostly because they see them as competition, and they'd rather get them from Ingram Spark. And so that's why after I got my book set up with Amazon, then I also, for my book, when I self-published Tweets from the Trenches, then I also registered it with with Ingram Spark, sorry. And so Ingram Spark is like the world's biggest wholesaler of books, basically. All right. Leah said, if we get someone to design a custom book cover for us, can we upload that? Absolutely. If someone designs a custom book cover for you, they better make it ready for you to upload, and you can either pay them to, is my understanding, to do some of the setup like this, or you can do it yourself. But for sure.
Okay, if you're going to use a custom cover,
yeah,
you need to give the designer the specs that you need. So my books are 6x9, so the pixels have to be like a 2:3 ratio, 600 by 900 or whatever. And you should have, and tell your designer this, Amazon requests that you have at least 300 DPI, dots per inch. And anything much less than that, and you'll get kind of a fuzzy print. So tell your designer that that's the level of clarity that you want in your book cover. Now, they will let you get away with maybe 280 or 250, but if you go much lower than that, you're going to start to see fuzzy printing. So just tell your designer exactly the specs you want for your cover, the size, and whatever else. And you will see as well in your cover that you don't want any of the print to bleed out beyond those red marks, because it won't, and Amazon will reject that cover if your print is too close to the edges. So keep it in somewhat. Your actual photograph or painting or whatever you're using can bleed out to the edge, but the print needs to be within the boundaries.
All right, we had a question about whether you can use both Ingram Spark and Amazon if you are giving them exclusive sellers. So Amazon, when Amazon does that thing with especially with the ebooks, then you have to have them as the exclusive seller. But if you want to sell it, your paperback into bookstores, then you can't do that, is my understanding.
Well, no, and Amazon doesn't request exclusivity for paperbacks. You are free to sell your paperbacks anywhere you want. You can go to another commercial printer as well. Amazon is a wonderful place to do it though, because they use print on demand. You don't have to buy 23 boxes of books the way you used to have to buy from traditional publishers. When anybody orders your print book, it doesn't exist when they order it. Amazon is such an incredible factory that within 48 hours, your book will be printed, one copy, and in the mail out to the purchaser. Now, Ingram Spark has a different model, and this is not a seminar on working with Ingram Spark. It's just really to cover Amazon. But by all means, once your paperback book is up and published, if you want to take it to Ingram Spark or to any other distributor and service, by all means do so. There's no restriction.
And the thing to note about, and people are like, they're getting it fuzzy, is like, well, on Amazon, what if I want 100 copies to sell when I'm going to a fair? You order your author copies, and that's when you get them very cheap. And you order 100 of them, but order way ahead, because the mail these days, it's messing with people.
Okay, keep in mind as well that when you order author copies, some of them may be shipped across the border. You may have to pay DHL. There's all sorts of other things that may be kicking in there. It does take some time, but by all means, if you want a box of your own books, then you can order the author copies, and they're dirt cheap, and you'll get them fairly quickly, like within a week or two.
And then
you can also, when I have ordered individual copies of my books for myself, it's a lot faster to actually buy your book, drop your price as far as you can, buy a copy of your book as a customer. You will then get a royalty, and you'll probably only pay $1 or so more, and you don't have to pay shipping, and you don't have to worry about customs or DHL or anything like that. You pay $1 or $2 more for your book, but it's a whole lot more convenient than ordering your author copies. We have flipped through, our cover was accepted, everything is fine. We now move on to what price to put on your books. And generally, a paperback book of a certain size, like this one I'm holding up here now, they will run from about $9, $10 up to about $17. That is the market price for paperback novels or thrillers or nonfiction books, unless you're publishing something which is really esoteric and highly technical. And fine, you can put those books up for $60 or $70. But if you write your first novel or your first romance or whatever, you cannot sell it for $60 or $70. You're going to sell it for somewhere between $8 and $20. So here on this book that I just wrote, it's about 250 pages. I sell all my paperbacks at $9.95 US, and I could probably bump them higher, but it's not going to make a huge difference. You can see on here if I put this at okay, you can see my royalty was $2.65, and now fine, I'll make another $1 if I put it up by 2, but it's not a big deal. I leave it at $9.95 just because that makes it pretty well affordable for anybody that's interested in buying. So set your price. You can play with your price. You can change your price overnight and see if it affects your sales. But otherwise, keep it relatively low. And then once all that is done, okay, you can request printed proofs of the book that they will send to you. This Amazon was doing this, and then they put up the electronic viewer, electronic proofreader. But if you still want a hard copy print of your book, then you can request it. It'll arrive within a week or two, and you can go through it and check for all the errors in the layout. But with the electronic viewer, you really don't need that these days. So anyway, we're all done. And now you can publish your paperback book. And it will be available within about 72 hours. And if you start ordering copies, they'll arrive within about a week. And go ahead.
I was going to say about on the pricing thing, like for me, I published my first book was literary nonfiction, and I think I priced it at like 25, but it was pretty big, had a lot of pictures, and that was sort of the going rate. And I wanted to keep it at the going rate because I wanted to hand sell it at fairs and things like that and whatnot. And so sometimes I'd say, oh, I've got a discount on this today and it's $20. So just keep in mind what kind of product you're, because you want your price on your cover probably along with the, with the ISBN and stuff.
Okay, as I say, unless you're writing something that's specialized, once you start to move a book beyond $20, your sales will fall off accordingly. Now, if you remember basic economics with supply and demand and price elasticity and all those things, just keep in mind that if you're selling something for 99 cents, you'll sell it by the tens of thousands, but you won't make much money. If you're per copy, if you're selling it for $100, you make a lot of money per copy, but you won't sell many copies. There will be a sweet spot there where you maximize your net return, and you just got to try to play with it and find out what it is for your particular book.
Leah was wondering how to ensure that you get your book listed in both Amazon.com and Amazon.ca. And she tried to buy a fellow Canadian author's book, but it was only available on Amazon.com.
That's unusual. I'm not sure why that would happen, because normally when you register with Amazon, it appears everywhere. My books are on every Amazon site. You can just put in the title or the ISBN number, the Amazon registration number, and they come up. So there may have been, for copyright reasons or distribution reasons, some restriction on the ability to sell. But normally you can say it's available all over the world, and it is. So if that has been a problem for some people, it's unusual. And if you're just putting up your own story on Amazon, it's very unlikely that that's going to be a problem. Okay, we're done with the paperback books, except that I have a general suggestion that you also consider publishing your book in large print. It'll only take you another hour or two to reformat it. You put it into a 7 by 10 size, you go to the American Printing House for the Blind, this group, APH, and you download their APH font. It is a font which is specifically designed for visually impaired people, for seniors who have trouble reading books. And you then reformat your book into large print. And I'm going to see if I can pull that up. Let's get out of there. And I will find something which I have done in large print.
Okay, we can see that's a letter format. So that's got a different font just for the letter, right?
Yes, I downloaded the specific font, and it's slow to upload. So I won't spend much more time on that, except to say, okay, there
we go.
You have it now. This font is called APH, and let me get out of that again. All right, are you seeing that now on your screen?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this font was specifically designed by the American Printing House for the Blind. It is available at no cost. You can download it from them. You then change your size to 7 by 10. You have at least 1.5 lines between them, but then your book is available for people that are visually impaired, elderly, anybody that's having any difficulty with reading. And the other thing that happens, now I have put all my books up for large print. Now, I might, to my surprise, when I went back and checked, I sell about 20 large print books a month. Okay, that's not a huge amount, but it is a service, and my royalty in that is $5 per book. So it only took me, a very short amount of time, but it's $5, every single month forever, and that has kept growing. So that's my last suggestion, is that you also consider putting your books up in a large print format. You have to do it as a second entry into your paperback, get another ISBN number, and reformat it and reprint it. But you have another whole book available, and there are people out there who will buy it, and it's a great, thoughtful service, because there are many, many people out there who who love to read books, and now who need large print. That's why there's large print sections in the Republic Library, and it's just another thoughtful way of making it available to people that don't read as well as they used to, but love to read.
And
All
one
right.
of these days we'll be joining them.
Not that far off. Okay, that's pretty well it for my seminar. And let's open it up again to any other questions.
Okay, let's open it up to questions. But before people leave, because they feel like it's over, just a reminder, we're going to be meeting back here next week to talk about marketing. And you cannot talk about writing and selling your books without talking about marketing. And Craig's got lots and lots of great information about how to do that. And so you'll want to join us next week. And if you're on the list, I believe you're good. You don't need to re-register. And I want to, before we get back to the questions in a moment, because we're good, we're at 3:40, so we're really doing well here. I wanted to specifically thank Craig on behalf of Electric Mermaid live reads from Char's Landing. And Char wants us to know that she will post today's workshop to Char's Landing YouTube channel. Plus, she's going to post a link on charslanding.com. You want to bookmark that anyway. Thanks very much to everybody who has sent a donation so far. And that address again is e-transfer.
It's up on the screen right now, I think.
At charslanding.com. Okay. And so that's a great way to say thank you so much. We love what you're doing. Do it some more. This is the way to encourage. And Char and Carl are both wishing to see us all next week. And so just we'll see you next week. But I just wanted to quickly say that because I know some people have to leave us. And we're getting some thanks in the chat, and keep those coming. We like to hear what's most helpful to you. And huge snaps for Craig for doing this wonderful workshop for us. Just bunches of thank yous. Okay, all right, I'm back to a couple last minute questions. If anybody's got a question, here is the place to put it. And let's see, there was one question up here, which was about audiobooks. And that's a whole other thing, right, Craig?
It is, and I'm not able to cover that here, but by all means, if you can find somebody to produce a high quality audiobook, do it. It is a growing area of book sales, but you must have a certain fairly high level of audio quality in order to be accepted by Amazon.
Yes.
So find a professional service. You can do it yourself, and you can take courses on how to do it yourself. Probably better to find somebody who can do it. And if you go onto Fiverr or to Upwork, any of the freelancer sites, there are people that freelance to do audiobooks. So give it a shot by all means. But that was just not part of what we covered today.
Oh no, yeah, it's a whole other thing. Thank you very much. And I want to address a couple of other things. If you had an issue that you did not receive, or maybe it went into a spam folder or something, email info@charslanding.com, and we'll make sure that you're on the list for the reminder for next week, info@charslanding.com. And I apologize, once in a while these little things come up. And so there, eTransfer@charslanding.com. Now we've got a note from Megan in Florida. This was great, Craig. Thank you so much. My mother is a huge fan of yours. She does talk about your books for hours and hours. She could talk about them for hours, and she does. I had to let you know. All right, and a nice note of thank you there. And so, and just a reminder, if you're on the sign up list for this, if you didn't just get the link, but you're actually on the sign up list and you want to be on the sign up list, and you can actually invite other people to register for next week's event. They can do that at info@charslanding.com or at the eBright site. So I really want to bring your attention to Craig's place to buy a book and leave a review. Is a great thing to do, is to express your thanks to him. Send him an email to your post. Can you post that information back, Craig, please?
Which
Where
one?
people can post.
My website is SherlockHolmesMystery.com.
SherlockHolmesMystery.com.
Yeah, you can see it up here in the bar. And that's me, and this is my website, and these are all the books which I have written about Sherlock Holmes. And you can see the titles will probably not win any awards, but they are thematic and they identify the books as me.
Look at them books. That's amazing. Okay, so was it SherlockHolmesMysteries.com?
Sherlock Holmes Mystery, singular.com. It's right up here at the top.
Okay, all right. So just in case your screen is small like mine, I'm typing it into the chat. And we got a question, and this is a good one. I believe you said that fonts and text sizes can be changed by the reader on ebooks. But my book, I ran into this because my book has over 100 pictures in it. My book will be a nonfiction and image heavy. Is there a way to fix the text so it can't be rearranged? I need the text to be next to its corresponding images. There is, and it's not very pretty. Like the ebook for my book, Heard Amid the Guns, it's sort of like, here's a bunch, all the pretty layout has to go out the window with an ebook, because in order for people to make the font bigger or smaller, however they want it, on their little cell phone or whatever device they're using, it's going to be like picture, block of text, picture, and it's not tremendously pretty, but that's how it has to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, Craig, do you have anything to add to that, or?
No, in the back of my books, I'll talk about this more when we do about marketing. I have a thumbnail picture of the cover and a little blurb about every single book I've written. And you can actually connect and link that and buy it right off quickly. But in the ebooks, it does rearrange the format. Not exactly how I would like, but there's not as much choice as you do obviously with the print book. So there are some limitations. And what I'd suggest, if you really are if you're struggling with it, go to one of the freelancer sites and put in format Kindle books and find somebody who knows what they're doing, who does this for a living, and who will do it and will do a sample and send it to you. And if you like it, then they can do the whole book for you. Better that, pay some kid in Irian Jaya or Philippines or something like that who is a whiz, and let them do it for 20 bucks or 30 bucks rather than trying to struggle with it and learn it yourself.
Yeah, it can, if you're not too tech savvy, it can suck you down into a vortex. So it is a nice idea to outsource it if you can. On the Amazon paperback manuscript template, the page after the title page with all the info that is that generated or something the author fills in? The author has to fill it in.
The author has to fill it in, and yeah, you have to get rid of author name and put yours there. You got to get rid of title and put yours there, and just simply cut and paste and delete and cut and paste and delete until it's all filled out.
Chuck wanted to know when you get the free ISBN from, if you're Canadian, or actually if you do it through Amazon, right? Do you get a barcode or just the number? Well, you have to plug the number. Oh, the barcode is separate, right? The barcode, if you're going to sell it, hand sell it or whatever, you have to, the barcode is separate, right?
The barcode is printed automatically with Amazon.
Oh, with Amazon.
I'm going to hold up a picture here. This was a book which a friend of mine printed, and you can see that at the bottom it has the barcode.
And on the layout that Amazon provides, they've got that right in there. So it's like, leave this spot blank because this is where the barcode's going to go. Thank you for reminding me. Yep. Okay, so and a reminder on the print ISBN thing for Canadians, you can get that free. And there was a couple links higher in the chat for that. When you register it, you just get the number though, right? You get that ISBN number, and then that goes into the front part and it goes on the back, if I recall correctly. And then also, if you get the free email, if you get an ISBN not from Amazon, say if you're going to print up 100, you're going to go to say Island Blue, which is here on the island, and you say, okay, I want 100 copies of this, then that ISBN is built into your book, and they print it for you. So
yeah, and I do recommend getting your books copyrighted as well, and getting the copyright certificate from the Canadian government. It's worth it to have.
Okay, very good. I think that we might be at the end of our questions here, and I think it's good to remind people, come back next week, and we'll look forward to learning about marketing. Which, whether or not you're with a traditional book publisher or you're self-publishing, you still have to be the person who's doing that marketing and really pushing it. So that's good for everybody to know how to do that. Is everything the same if you're just printing for family? That's a question that came in from Jeff. When you say if everything is the same if you're so if you're not trying to sell it or marketing, you just want to give a copy to everybody at the reunion while you're all standing 6 feet apart? That's a good question.
Well, if you're only wanting to handle books for your family, there's no point in sitting through 2 hours of instruction on how to market and sell, because it's not appropriate for your needs. But if you do want to know how to sell it beyond your family, then we will see you next week.
Yes. Okay, before we go, I wanted to say again, thank you to Carl and to Char, our moderator and our event host and our organizational hub. Thank you very much, charslanding.com. And you can check out other things going on there, including the Electric Mermaid live reads from Char's Landing if you want to read your material. And especially snaps, thanks so much to Craig Copland for being so generous with what he knows. That's really lovely. And we're really looking forward to learning about marketing next week. And there'll probably be some other questions that pop up. Bring them back and we'll see if we can't answer them, okay? Everybody take care and stay cozy and safe. And we'll be seeing you soon.
Okay, take care, everybody. Great having you here. I hope this was helpful. And have a fabulous week. And we'll see you a week from now. All the best.